right into our time with Eric here in just a moment. Listen, this is incredible. We're going to be talking about how to think, why you should really consider that being spiritual does not mean that you're less intellectual. I speak to so many pastors in a year, and I find so many of them struggling because our culture, as one young man said to me this afternoon, our culture really wants a soundbite theology. We don't want to think. We don't want to really dig in and discover line upon line, precept upon precept. I believe that we need to really engage our culture. And because we live in an intellectual society and a culture that really does want to be engaged with some deep, deep thought, the church is really going to have to rise to the occasion. And tonight, I believe we have a young man with us who is leading in that for his generation.
He asked Christ what was the greatest commandment. He said to love God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength.
Right.
I think we do a great job at loving God with our emotions, which is to love God with your heart. I think we do a fair job of loving God with our strength. We volunteer at church. You know, we help out at the bake sale and whatnot, and that's great. But I think the modern church has really done a poor job at the latter, which is loving God with the mind.
Okay.
And that word mind literally means your intellect and faculty of understanding.
Okay.
So if we are to love God with our minds, then first and foremost, we are responsible for what we believe, and we are to show ourselves approved in what we believe. And I can go through a lot more scripture, but I think the point is clear in that what we believe must be logically consistent with our theology and philosophy. It must be coherent. That is to say that if you believe something about God that is not logically coherent or consistent, it cannot be of God.
So truth really is consistent. It has to be
Absolutely.
consistent.
Absolutely.
Right.
We do God no glory when we begin to spew illogical nonsense.
That say that again.
God no glory when we spew philosophical, illogical nonsense.
Yeah.
That does God no glory. In fact, you see that God is a God of reason.
Yes.
He's a God of consistency. He's a God of order. And if we're made in His image, we better reflect that, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
My main passion is really to teach. Sure, I'll engage with the atheist, but at the same time, I want to engage with the Christian who perhaps says, I don't need philosophy, I don't need theology, all I need is Jesus.
Right.
I hear oftentimes people say something like, it's not about a religion, it's about a relationship. Well, I understand what they mean. We have to first really understand what these words actually mean. Your religion is the acts that, for lack of a better word, bind you towards God. My religion consists of my action towards God. However, my actions towards God are based on my beliefs about God. So
That's
my
good.
theology drives my religion. To get rid of bad religion, you have to get rid of bad theology.
That's good.
If you can get rid of bad theology, then you won't have people trying to fly planes into buildings thinking this is going to appease God, if that is a misleading or incorrect, false theological concept.
Christianity, yes, is a relationship, but it is also a responsibility. And I want to challenge you to really ask yourself, yes, I may have an incredible relationship with Christ, and that is so very, very important. But the Scripture also tells us that we need to be in a position to give an answer for our faith.
With that, an atheist will say, Eric, there's no free will. I said, really? They say, no, of course not. You're just a physical machine. I said, huh. I said, did you freely come to believe that? And they say, yes. I said, wait a minute. They say, wait, no. I said, okay. Because if you say yes, that you freely believed based on your intellectual champion of studying and doing the research, you have come to the conclusion on your own accord that there is no free will, then you just proved yourself wrong.
Yeah.
But if you tell me there is no free will and I was determined to believe this, then why should I believe what you were determined to believe? Especially if you could not have believed otherwise. Then it's just your determined beliefs versus my determined beliefs. We don't know who's right or wrong because we're just determined to believe this.
Right.
So it becomes what you call self-defeating, to argue that there is no free will and then assume I have the free will to listen to you and believe you.
Right.
So that would be an argument against atheism, to show it's philosophically inconsistent, it's self-defeating when you argue for it.